Hello everyone, my name is Katrina Velo and I am the pleasure will present the textbook education on ACT, soul and language on learning. Um, Today an interview for teacher focus on bilingual educational policy and practice in Colombia. Ready? And so continues on interview. So teacher special words, very feature. So continues for presentation.
Okay, my name is Rafael Junior Carcamo Garcia. I'm an English teacher in San Pablo Bolívar in high school, Institución Educativa Técnica Agropecuaria y Comercial. I teach to 8th grade, and I especially thank Catherine Agudelo to this invitation to this interview.
Very teacher, thank you for participation. Thank you for your present. Very so continue interview and so continue introduction. Very um, the interview examines eight question for fundamental questions on address police implementary is this interviewed the curriculum design, assignments methods, technological integration, and inclusive educational practice. Ready? And so continue. Um, Other question, exactly eight questions. Ready? So continues. Third question. Ready? Question one says. Um, in what ways do socioeconomic inequalities in Colombia regions influence the implementation of national bilingual educational policies?
Okay, to answer this question, let's take into account that socioeconomic inequality strongly affects how bilingual policies are applied in Colombia. In welfare regions, schools often have better resources, qualified teachers, and access to technology, which makes implementation more effective. In contrast, rural and low-income areas struggle with large class sizes, lack of trained English teachers, scarce materials, and limited exposure to the language, creating a gap between the policy's goals and the reality of many classrooms.
Very teacher, thank you for the answer. This is a question addressed on most significant barriers to educational equity on the country. Very. Um, so continues on question two. Uh, they say, how can basic learning rights for English and foreign language be adapted to different ranges of learning and cognitive styles while style respect national curriculum expectation and ensuring measurable results.
Okay, the basic learning rights can be adapted by using flexible teaching strategies like differentiated tasks, scaffolding, and varied assessment methods. For example, oral, written, and project-based to match students' learning rhythms and cognitive styles. At the same time, aligning lesson objectives with the basic learning rights indicators ensures that progress is measurable and consistent with the national curriculum.
Of course, teacher. This is represented the fundamental tension and educational policy, the need for standardization versus the reality of individual difference. The challenge and the creating the flexible Primary works, then maintain academy, rigor while accommodation, diverse learning the needs. Very. So continues for the question three. Say how effective is the subject framework and assisting Colombia students to prepare for global citizenships and international communication and collaboration.
Okay, well, the framework is partially effective. It promotes communicative skills and intercultural awareness, which are key for global citizenship. However, its impact is limited by unequal implementation, insufficient teacher training, and lack of authentic exposure to English. So, students in well resourced contests benefit more, while many others remain underprepared for true international communication and collaboration.
Very feature, thank you. This is question challenge used to attempt where our current curriculum truly prepare a student to 20th century realities. So continues their question forward, very, and how has the subject English curriculum for grades sits on 11 either and support or hyper critical thinking and creativity as second language acquisition because increasingly important in more abstract contexts.
Well, the curriculum supports critical thinking and creativity by encouraging project work, problem solving tasks, and exposure to authentic materials that go beyond rote memorization. However, it can also hamper these skills when it becomes too rigid, exam oriented, or focused mainly on grammar and vocabulary, leaving less space for meaningful expression and abstract thinking in English.
Very of course. Inclusivity touches on crucial pedagogical concern. The language learning should sense no constraints. Students' ability to think critical and express the creativity. Um, very so continues for question five. Very question five said how do we bank the collaborative process to integrate new technologies a earth ethical and effective with educational content while addressing teacher training and digital equate users.
Well, the process begins by ensuring equal access to technology, starting with teacher training that focuses on both digital skills and ethical use of tools like artificial intelligence and VR. Collaboration should include ministries, schools, and communities to design content aligned with curriculum goals.
Okay, but technology is important. For technology integration cannot be afterthought or illusory for privileges scholarly. Um, so continues, very teacher for answer. So continues on question sites, very. To say what needs to fundamentally change how Colombia students with special educational needs are taught in English.
Well, there needs to be a shift from one size fits all teaching to inclusive.
Teacher,
Hello, can you listen?
hello. The question the question sits very
Yes.
what
Can
needs
you
to fundamentally change and how Colombian students with special educational needs are taught English.
okay. There needs to be a shift from one size fits all teaching to inclusive, personalized approaches. This means adapting materials, providing accessible resources, visual, auditory, tactile, training teachers in special education strategies, and fostering supportive classroom environments.
Very teacher, your answer is important. The inclusion and language educational is required more than good intention. It demands systematic change and methodology, assessment, and teacher preparation. Right? Um, this will continue for question seven. The said, what are some innovative assessment possibilities some better demonstrate what students are able to communicate what is it honoring their cultural context.
Okay, innovative assessments could include oral storytelling, role plays, digital portfolios, community based projects, and presentations that connect English use to local traditions or social issues.
Very featured. Um, so the concept, other content, traditional attainment methods often fail to capture the full range of a student and capacity, particularly and multicultural context, and with net approaches evaluate cultural theory. So continues for question 8, Larry. The question 8 said, what will be the possible long-term impact of having established behavior and standard for English and a diverse multicultural societies like Colombia?
Well, in the long term, basic learning rights and standards can help unify expectations, provide clearer learning goals, and raise overall English proficiency. They also support mobility and opportunities in a global context. However, if regional and cultural diversity is not respected, there is a risk of widening educational gaps and undervailing local identities. The impact will depend on how flexibly and inclusively the standards are applied.
Very teacher, thank you for answer. This final question require a slim beyond immediate implementation challenge. This is finally for interview. So continues conclusions. My conclusion interviewed through this critical examination of bilingual educational in Colombia. Several key themes emerged, can demand or continue attention and action. Ready? First, the persistent challenge of educational equality requires innovate approach that address regional disparities without the compromises equally. The second, the need for flexible cultural responsibility, so can prepare students for global participation. will preserve local identity. Ready? Um, so continue. Feature, I don't know, your reflection according interview.
Okay, yes, yes. I have a conclusion about all the questions you have asked. In this case, teaching English in Colombia through the national bilingualism policy and basic learning rights and curriculum standards offers important opportunities for global citizenship, clear learning goals, and improved communication skills. However, challenges such as socioeconomic inequality, limited resources, and lack of inclusive practices continue to affect implementation. So, to ensure this long-term success, policies must be adapted flexibly to respect diverse learning styles, cultural contents, and special educational needs, while integrating new technologies ethically and equitably. Yes,
Yes, sister. Very good. So finally, thank you for your attention. Thank you for your participation. Very so finally, your interview. Bye bye. See you later. Thank you
thank you, Patrick. Have a
for
good night.
comments. Thank you for answer. Bye bye.
Bye. See you.